Good morning, South Bend. You're listening to WLA Radio 92.5 on the FM band, and this is your morning mashup. I'm your host, the Reverend Will the Thrill, preaching a gospel of peace, love, and a wide variety of good music to get you through your morning commute. You just heard the Love and Spoonful Summer in the City. Before that, we played Kiss with Detroit Rock City, Merle Haggard's Big City, John Lee Hooker's The Motor City is Burning, David Bowie's classic Suffragette City started the whole thing off. What can I say? Sometimes we just like a theme. Coming up, we've got Beethoven, some Ray Charles, some Simon & Garfunkel, and some killer R&B from St. Paul and the Broken Bones. Let me tell you, if there's anything you'd like us to play, if there's anything you want to hear, please, by all means, give us a call at 1-800-448-4373, and we'll see what we can play for you. That number, again, is 1-800-448-4373. We've only been on the air for a couple of weeks, but we seem to have a pretty loyal fan base already. I want to thank you all for listening. I'm also glad so many of you have reacted positively to these incessant ramblings and pontifications on my end. I honestly didn't know how those would go over when I started them, but since on the whole you seem to like them, I'll continue to do them as long as I feel I have something to say. Which I do today. Do you realize that at this time yesterday, it was an hour earlier than it is right now? Does that make any sense to anyone else? I mean, honestly, that phrase should be nominated for a Hugo Award. It sounds like something Christopher Nolan would turn into a seriously confusing movie, right? So, yeah, this past Saturday night, before going to bed, I set my clocks ahead 1 hour for daylight savings time. Set my alarms properly, and still woke up 20 minutes late. And do you know why? Because time traveling 1 hour into the future is not friggin' natural, okay? If I'm going to travel into the future, I want to travel far enough to see real, and I mean real, social and technological advancements. I want to see a cure for cancer and AIDS. I want to see a universal acceptance of gay rights. And you know what? I'll say it. I want to see flying cars. None of those things are going to develop in one piddly little hour. What's the point, I ask you? To paraphrase Jimmy Buffett, damn, I do detest losing a good hour for no good reason at all. There are many arguments for using this absurd concept, most of which appear to me anyway to be strictly psychological. I grew up in southern Indiana at a time when Indiana didn't use daylight savings. As a small child, my bedtime was 8 p.m., and during the summer, I didn't understand why I had to go to bed when the sun was still out. The solution? Let me stay up until 9 during the summer. See? Simple, easy. We didn't have to change our clocks or anything. I didn't have a week of feeling jet-lagged as my body had to adjust to a new time. Now, one of my issues with this is the name, daylight savings time. This implies that we're saving daylight, which we aren't. Whoever named this absurd concept, I'm sorry, I know I used that phrase before, but I genuinely cannot think of anything better to call it. Whoever named it clearly had no knowledge of astronomy or physics. We get just as much daylight as we always have for this particular time of the year on this particular part of the planet. That never changes. Furthermore, when we're not on daylight savings, we're on what's called standard time. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in order for it to be the standard, shouldn't it have a larger slice of the pie than anything else? Has anyone else noticed that when, that standard time, that we spend less time of the year on standard time than we do on daylight savings? And that time has gotten even less since President Bush made us start daylight savings 3 weeks earlier. Now, I understand that in the fall I'll get that hour back, but like most Americans, I'll probably spend it sleeping in. Of course, the time is supposed to change at something like 2 a.m. Sadly, in another hour it'll just be 2 a.m. again, and you'll have to set your clocks back another hour. That's not my joke, but I've always liked it. I think I stole it from Dennis Miller. So I'll let you ponder that whole thing as we get back to some tunes. Every time I spring forward, I feel like I'm lacking something other than common sense. And that something is a souped-up DeLorean. That's right, for time traveling in either direction, one should really never leave home without some thoughts from Huey Lewis and the News, who recorded this song for the movie Back to the Future in 1985. And every time I think of daylight savings time, or regrettably use it, I start singing the chorus to this song. So I give you in honor of that Back in Time on 92.5 WLA Radio. How was that? That good?